The anti-terror squad in Bangladesh stormed the Dhaka restaurant. They've rescued 11 hostages. They've killed 5 terrorists. The hostage crisis lasted 13 hours. Shortly after the operation was declared over, 2 loud explosions were heard inside the restaurant. We still do not know whether these were improvised explosive devices or whether this was a controlled explosion. Sources say 13 hostages were rescued. Commandos are still inside this bakery and restaurant. According to the police, those who were rescued include an Indian and Japanese nationals. The terror strike started around 7:30 local time yesterday. Between 8 and 10 unidentified terrorists stormed into the bakery, firing at customers, lobbing grenades and crude bombs. In a matter of hours, the situation escalated. 2 brave anti-terror squad officers were killed in the counter-terror operations. मैं अपने घर से ही एंकर कर देता हूं यार.
It was a Black Friday for Dhaka. A bakery that was a popular hangout for tourists became a hub of terror late last night. At 7:30 p.m. local time, unidentified gunmen stormed into the Holy Artisan Bakery, firing at the customers, throwing grenades and crude bombs, screaming Allahu Akbar. They held about 20 foreign nationals, including diplomats, hostage inside the bakery.
ওরা ম্যাক্সিমাম 8 জন, ওরা একজন এক এক রকমের, তবে ওরা খুব কমফোর্ট ভাবে আসছে, মানে যে আছে না যে একটু ফ্লেক্সিবল ভাবে প্যান্ট শার্ট ইন করা, এবং ওরা যতক্ষণ ছিল আল্লাহু আকবার বলতেছে.
Soon enough, a gun battle ensued between the gunmen and policemen gathered outside. The sounds of explosion ringing across Gulshan area neighborhood. All efforts to negotiate with the terrorists proved futile as the gunmen refused to release the hostages. They continued to fire at the policemen, killing 3 of them and injuring several others.
এটা একটা স্প্যানিশ রেস্টুরেন্ট, ছোট একটা রেস্টুরেন্ট। সেই রেস্টুরেন্টে মোস্টলি এই সন্ধ্যার পর অনেক কাস্টমাররা আসে। এই রেস্টুরেন্টেই কয়েকজন অস্ত্রধারী ভিতরে প্রবেশ করেছে।
The entire Gulshan area neighborhood was cordoned off and locals rushed out of their homes as they watched the horror unfolding.
রেস্টুরেন্টের ভিতরে আওয়াজ হয়েছে, ওই আওয়াজটার পরে তারা একটু ভয় পেয়ে বারান্দায় গিয়ে তাকায়া দেখছে, দেখার পরে দেখে যে ভিতরে অনেক ফায়ার হচ্ছে, অনেক হইচই হইতেছে। এটা দেখে তারা সবাই বাসার ভিতরে এসে দরজা বন্ধ করে বসে আছে।
A bustling Friday evening at this popular Dhaka bakery in a matter of minutes turned into a bloodbath. So many lives lost, so many lives scarred by another dastardly act of terror. Bureau Report, India Today.
Fortunately, the operation is now over. Combing operation still underway. 2 terrorists arrested, 5 terrorists neutralized. JMB, now these terrorists during negotiation with the security forces wanted a senior Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh commander to be released. So are they a part of the Islamic State? Are they a part of JMB, or are they working in tandem? That is one fear. The second fear is that this is a terrorist organization. Every time there's a crackdown in Bangladesh, they try and run into India. And Indrajit, the governor of Tripura, Tathagat Roy, he is sounding caution. He says it's happened in the past, it could well happen again. And this is something that government of India and the government of Bengal need to be very, very, very careful about.
Well, absolutely. There's no doubt about the fact that JMB has become a very important internal security threat as far as India is concerned, especially in the eastern region. And therefore, the new Assam government, the BJP government there, has been talking tough about how to seal the borders of India and Bangladesh. It has been a political issue, and a very sensitive one at that. Even in West Bengal, with the BJP making it the main poll plank before the 2014 Lok Sabha elections. So the West Bengal government too is aware of it. But an interesting fact that is emerging right now from the operation, Gaurav, is we are learning from the ground that there was a careful segregation between the hostages, amongst the hostages who were taken in by these terrorists. We are hearing that the locals from Bangladesh, they were treated separately, and the foreign nationals who had also been taken hostages, they were segregated from the locals. So it clearly emerges that there seems to be a modus operandi in which they were trying to conduct this entire hostage process, and it seems that there was the motivation behind it. It seems it was a carefully constructed ploy to send out a message not just to the Bangladesh government but also to the international audience, given that the main target seems to be now getting clear that it was foreign nationals who were the main target of this terror strike in Bangladesh.
Okay, stay with me for a moment, Indrajit. More reactions coming in. What this terror attack is all about. And we've been seeing a series of terror attacks across the world. We saw what happened in the United States of America when a nightclub was attacked. We saw what happened in Turkey when the airport was attacked in Istanbul. And now we're seeing this terror attack in Dhaka. So very interesting aspect being pointed out by this defense expert Indrajit, where he says there's an effort to destabilize the secular government of Sheikh Hasina by anti-secular forces in Bangladesh. But what is also extremely interesting is the fact that 40 targeted killings by Islamic fundamentalists in the past 1 year in Bangladesh. 40. Whether it's Hindu priests, whether it's Buddhist monks, whether it's Christians, whether it's Japanese aid workers, Italian tourists, Italian diplomats. So far, there have been 40 killings, all linked to Islamic fundamentalists, and very little action against the perpetrators, it seems.
That's the worrying factor. So many people being killed, brutally hacked, all have a very similar modus operandi, and yet so far there was very little action as far as the administration, the Sheikh Hasina administration was concerned. So there was rising chorus and criticism that probably the administration is going soft, even though as far as the war crimes tribunal is concerned, and the trial of the Razakars, or the people who had supported the Pakistani army during the liberation war in 1971 is concerned, the Bangladesh government was actually steadfastly moving ahead with their prosecution. Just last month, a very senior person was hanged to death in Dhaka. So as far as the war crimes tribunal is concerned, the Bangladesh government has been moving ahead with it, but it doesn't really explain as to why it suddenly went soft on those people who were being hacked to death. So that's something of a baffling situation as far as the Bangladesh administration is concerned. There was popular chorus against it, and perhaps bowing down to that pressure, the Bangladesh government had to take certain steps in which a few thousand of radical Islamists were put behind bars in the past about 2 weeks or fortnight or so. So does that has a repercussion on this attack that we are seeing since yesterday night? Is that in retaliation to what's happening in response to the Bangladesh government's crackdown on Islamists? It only the Bangladeshi officials and investigators would be able to tell us more about it. But given that this attack comes at a very crucial juncture, does point a finger to those crackdown efforts by the Bangladesh government at this point?
In fact, the Bangladesh government went on record to say that they've arrested 11,000 people, especially these fundamentalists, hoping that this would stem the tide. But look at the capabilities that these terrorists have. Whether it's the Islamic State, whether it's the JMB, whether it's the Al-Qaeda, whichever is the terrorist organization, look at the capabilities they have. For 13 hours, they held Bangladesh to ransom. The whole world was watching. We will continue to track that story very closely.